Sarah Martinez walked down the narrow aisle of the giant spaceship called Horizon's Edge. She carried a small worn backpack on her shoulder and wore simple blue jeans with a plain gray sweater. Her brown hair was tied back in a basic ponytail, and she had no makeup on her face. She looked like any other tired passenger who just wanted to get to their destination. The ship was huge. It could carry 300 people from Earth to the mining colony on Kepler 442b. This trip would take 3 whole days through the darkness of space. Sarah found her seat, which was 12C. It was in the middle section of the passenger area. She sat down and put her backpack under the seat in front of her. Around her, other passengers were getting settled too. Families with small children were trying to find their seats. Business people in expensive suits were checking their electronic tablets. Some passengers looked excited about their first trip to space, while others seemed bored like they had done this many times before. Sarah pulled out an old paper book from her backpack. It was unusual to see someone with a real book instead of an electronic reader. The book was thick and the pages were yellow with age. The cover was worn and some of the letters were hard to read. She opened it and started reading quietly. Flight attendants began their safety speech. They showed passengers where the emergency exits were and how to put on oxygen masks if something went wrong. Most people ignored them or watched their personal entertainment screens. Sarah kept reading her book, but she was also listening carefully to everything the attendants said. A young boy in the seat behind her was kicking the back of her chair. His mother kept telling him to stop, but he continued anyway. Sarah did not turn around or complain. She just kept reading as if nothing was bothering her. When the boy finally stopped, she did not even look up from her book. The ship began to move. Giant engines at the back of the vessel started pushing them away from Earth. Through the small round windows, passengers could see their home planet getting smaller and smaller. Soon, Earth looked like a tiny blue dot surrounded by millions of stars. Most passengers got up to walk around once the ship reached traveling speed. They went to the dining hall to eat or visited the recreation area to play games and watch movies. Children ran up and down the aisles playing tag while their parents tried to catch them. The ship was filled with noise and activity. Sarah stayed in her seat. She did not go to the dining hall when mealtime came. Instead, she pulled a simple food packet from her backpack and ate it quietly. The food looked basic, like something a soldier might eat on a mission. She drank water from a plain metal bottle that she refilled at the water station near her row. An elderly man sitting across the aisle tried to start a conversation with her. He asked where she was going and what kind of work she did. Sarah answered, politely but with very short responses. She said she was going to Kepler 442b for personal reasons and that she worked in logistics. Then she went back to reading her book. The old man seemed disappointed that she did not want to talk more. He tried asking about her book, but Sarah just smiled and said it was about history. She did not offer to show him the book or tell him which part of history it covered. After a few more failed attempts at conversation, the man gave up and went to find someone else to talk to. As the hours passed, other passengers began to notice things about the woman in seat 12C. A businessman walking to the bathroom saw that she never seemed to sleep. When he got up to stretch his legs at 3 a.m, she was still awake reading. When he woke up 6 hours later, she was still reading the same book and looked completely alert. A mother with twin babies noticed that Sarah never used the bathroom. Most passengers had to get up several times during the long journey, but the woman in 12C never left her seat except to refill her water bottle. This seemed strange for such a long trip through space. The ship had security cameras everywhere and trained officers who watched for any suspicious behavior. But there was nothing suspicious about Sarah Martinez. She followed all the rules perfectly. She did not bother other passengers. She kept her area clean and organized. She never raised her voice or caused any problems. The security officers did notice that she never went to any of the social areas of the ship. She did not visit the dining hall, the recreation center, or the observation deck where people gathered to look at stars. She just sat in her seat reading her mysterious old book and drinking water. Captain Rodriguez was making his regular walk through the passenger areas. He liked to see how everyone was doing and answer any questions they might have. When he passed row 12, he glanced at Sarah reading her book. She looked up and nodded politely at him. He nodded back and continued walking. Something about her seemed familiar to the captain, but he could not remember where he might have met her before. She had the kind of face that was easy to forget, but her eyes seemed to notice everything around her. When she looked at him, he felt like she was seeing more than just a ship captain in his uniform. The first day passed quietly. The ship moved through space at incredible speed, heading toward the Kepler system. Most passengers had settled into routines. Some spent time in the recreation areas playing games or watching entertainment programs. Others preferred to stay in their seats and rest or read. Sarah Martinez remained in seat 12C reading her old book. She had turned many pages, but somehow the book never seemed to get any thinner. Passengers walking by could not see what was written on the pages. The text appeared to be in a language that was not English, but it was hard to tell exactly what language it was. Night and day did not exist in space, but the ship followed Earth time. When the lights dimmed to signal nighttime, most passengers tried to sleep. Sarah stayed awake reading by the small light above her seat. Her eyes never seemed tired and her hands never shook from fatigue. The quiet passenger in row 12 was just another traveler on what seemed like a routine flight to the outer colonies. Nobody could have guessed that she would soon become the most important person on the ship. But in the vast darkness of space, routine flights could become dangerous very quickly. Tomorrow would bring challenges that none of the passengers or crew were prepared for. And the woman with the mysterious book would have to make choices that could save or doom everyone aboard the Horizon's Edge. The second day started like any other morning on the Horizon's Edge. Passengers woke up and went to the dining hall for breakfast. Children played in the recreation areas while their parents drank coffee and watched the news feeds from Earth. The ship continued moving through space toward the Kepler system at incredible speed. Captain Rodriguez was on the bridge checking the daily reports from his crew. The navigation officer told him they were right on schedule. The engine room reported that all systems were working perfectly. Everything seemed normal for what should be a routine 3-day journey to the mining colony. At exactly 10:30 in the morning ship time, the proximity alarms began screaming. The loud warning sounds echoed through every part of the massive vessel. Red lights flashed on the bridge and emergency signals appeared on all the computer screens. Lieutenant Commander Jones, the navigation officer, stared at his display with wide eyes. His hands were shaking as he pointed at the screen. Captain Rodriguez rushed over to see what was causing the alarms. "Captain, we have got multiple contacts approaching our position very fast. They came out of nowhere, sir. Our long-range sensors did not detect them until they were almost on top of us." Rodriguez looked at the display and felt his stomach drop. 7 unknown ships were moving toward them at impossible speeds. The ships appeared to be much smaller than the Horizon's Edge, but they moved with deadly grace through space like sharks hunting prey. "Open communications channels, Jones. Let me talk to them." The communication officer tried to contact the unknown ships on all frequencies. She sent messages in English, Spanish, Chinese, and every other major Earth language. Only silence came back through the speakers. "Unknown vessels, this is Captain Rodriguez of the civilian transport ship Horizon's Edge. Please identify yourselves and state your intentions. We are carrying 300 civilian passengers on a peaceful journey to the Kepler mining colony." Still no response came from the approaching ships. The captain tried again, using standard space communication protocols that were supposed to be understood by all intelligent species. The mysterious ships continued their approach without saying a single word. As the ships got closer, the crew could see them more clearly on the main viewing screen. They were unlike anything in the human databases. The hulls were dark and seemed to absorb light instead of reflecting it. Strange energy patterns flickered across their surfaces like lightning trapped under black metal. These were not human ships. They were not built by any Earth government or corporation. The design was completely alien, with curves and angles that hurt the eyes to look at directly. Weapons ports opened along their sides like mouths full of sharp teeth. "Sir, I am reading massive energy buildups from all 7 ships. Their weapon systems are powering up." The alien ships moved into attack positions around the Horizon's Edge. They surrounded the transport ship like wolves circling a wounded animal. Energy readings from their weapons were far beyond anything human technology could produce. Captain Rodriguez had served in the Earth Defense Force before becoming a civilian transport captain. He had seen combat against pirates and smugglers who used stolen military equipment, but he had never faced anything like this. These aliens had technology that made human weapons look like ancient swords. Raise our defensive shields and power. Up our weapons systems. The Horizon's Edge was not a military vessel. It was designed to carry passengers and cargo safely through space. Its shields were meant to protect against space debris and solar radiation, not against advanced alien weapons. Its guns were mining lasers that could break up asteroids but were useless in real combat. Sir, our shields are at maximum, but they will not hold long against those weapons. Our own weapons cannot penetrate their defensive screens. The alien ships finished surrounding the transport and began scanning it with beams of strange-colored light. The scans made the hull vibrate and caused sparks to fly from some of the electrical systems. Passengers throughout the ship began to panic as the lights flickered on and off. In the passenger areas, people were screaming and crying. Parents held their children close and tried to calm them down. Some passengers were praying while others frantically tried to send messages back to Earth. The communication systems were being jammed by the alien ships. A businessman in first class demanded that the crew do something to protect them. A group of miners heading to the colony talked about fighting back, but they had no weapons and no way to reach the aliens. Fear spread through the ship like a disease. Sarah Martinez remained calm in seat 12C. She closed her old book and put it carefully in her backpack. Then she sat perfectly still and listened to the sounds of panic around her. Her face showed no fear or worry. She looked like someone who had been expecting this to happen. The alien ships completed their scans and moved into boarding positions. Mechanical arms extended from their hulls carrying what looked like cutting tools and boarding pods. They were preparing to force their way onto the human ship. Captain Rodriguez tried one more time to communicate with the aliens. Please respond. We are a civilian vessel with women and children aboard. We have done nothing to threaten you. What do you want from us? This time, a response came through the speakers. The voice was harsh and mechanical, like it was being translated by a computer. The words were in English, but the accent was completely inhuman. Human vessel, you will surrender immediately. Your kind is suitable for slave labor in our mining operations. Resist, and you will all die slowly. Submit, and some of you may survive. The bridge fell silent except for the beeping of various alarm systems. Captain Rodriguez felt cold fear crawl up his spine. These were not traders or explorers making first contact. These were slavers who saw humans as nothing more than animals to be captured and used. Sir, our shields are failing faster than expected. We have maybe 4 minutes before complete failure. The alien ships moved closer and prepared to launch their boarding pods. Captain Rodriguez looked around his bridge at the scared faces of his crew. He had 300 innocent people depending on him, and no way to protect them from technology far beyond human capability. The weapons officer shook his head helplessly, indicating that their guns were completely useless against the alien shields. The communications officer reported that their distress signals could not get through the alien jamming. They were completely cut off from any help. Captain Rodriguez realized he was about to watch everyone on his ship be killed or enslaved by aliens who saw them as nothing more than resources to be harvested. The quiet routine flight to Kepler 442b had become a nightmare that would end in death or slavery for 300 innocent people. But sometimes help comes from the most unexpected places, and sometimes the most ordinary-looking passenger is hiding secrets that could save everyone. Captain Rodriguez stared at the main screen showing the alien ships preparing to board his vessel. His shields were failing, and his weapons were useless. 300 innocent people were about to become slaves or worse. He felt completely helpless against the advanced alien technology surrounding them. Then something unexpected happened. The communications officer looked up from her station with confusion on her face. Captain, we are receiving a message from inside our own ship. It is coming from the passenger areas. Put it through to the main speakers. A calm, female voice filled the bridge. The voice was steady and confident despite the chaos happening around them. Captain Rodriguez, this is passenger Sarah Martinez in seat 12C. I need you to listen very carefully to what I am about to tell you. Captain Rodriguez remembered the quiet woman with the old book who had been reading during his walk through the passenger areas. What could a civilian passenger possibly know about their desperate situation? Ma'am, please stay in your seat and remain calm. We are handling this emergency situation to the best of our ability. Captain, those ships belong to the Kathavar Empire. They are slavers and resource thieves who have been expanding into this sector of space for the past 5 years. Your shields will fail in approximately 3 minutes and 20 seconds. After that, they will launch boarding pods and take control of your ship. The bridge fell completely silent. How could a random passenger know the name of an alien race that was not in any human database? More importantly, how could she know exactly when their shields would fail? The tactical officer quickly checked his readings and confirmed that the shields were indeed failing at the exact rate the passenger had predicted. The alien ships were moving into boarding positions just as she had described. Every person aboard this ship will be sorted into groups. The strong ones will be sent to mining colonies as slave labor. The weak ones will be used for medical experiments. The children will be raised as servants for Keithvar families. None of you will ever see Earth again. Captain Rodriguez felt ice-cold fear in his stomach. The woman spoke with the authority of someone who had seen this happen before. Her voice remained calm and factual as she described the horrible fate waiting for everyone on the ship. Who are you? How do you know about these aliens? Captain, I am someone who can help you and everyone on this ship, but I need you to do something that will seem very strange. I need you to make an announcement to all passengers and crew members. Rodriguez looked around his bridge at the faces of his officers. The weapons officer was still shaking his head, indicating their guns could not penetrate the alien shields. The navigation officer was trying to find an escape route, but the alien ships had them completely surrounded. What kind of announcement? Tell everyone that passenger Sarah Martinez from row 12 is taking temporary command of defensive operations. Tell them to remain in their seats and trust me completely. Tell them their lives depend on following my instructions exactly. The captain had spent 20 years in the military before becoming a civilian transport captain. He had learned to recognize command authority when he heard it. This passenger definitely had the voice of someone used to giving orders in life and death situations. Ma'am, I do not understand what you think you can do against 7 alien warships with advanced technology. We are a civilian transport with basic mining equipment. Captain, your shields will fail in exactly 2 minutes and 15 seconds. The first boarding pod will attach to your hull 30 seconds later. You can follow normal procedures and watch everyone on your ship die or be enslaved. Or you can trust me and give everyone a chance to survive. Rodriguez looked at his tactical display again. The alien ships were in perfect attack formation. His shields were failing exactly as the passenger had predicted. He had no other options and no time to think of alternatives. All right, Miss Martinez. I do not know who you are, but if you have any ideas, now would be the time to share them. Captain Rodriguez activated the ship-wide communication system. His voice echoed through every corridor and passenger compartment on the massive vessel. Attention, all passengers and crew members. This is Captain Rodriguez speaking from the bridge. Throughout the ship, people stopped screaming and listened to their captain. Parents held their children closer and tried to stay calm. The crew members at their stations waited for orders. We are currently facing a hostile alien force that has surrounded our ship. These aliens intend to capture us and use us as slave labor. However, we have assistance from passenger Sarah Martinez, in seat 12C, who has knowledge of these aliens and their technology. Many passengers turned to look toward row 12, where the quiet woman with the book was sitting. She did not look like someone who could fight off 7 alien warships. Miss Martinez will be taking temporary command of our defensive operations. I need everyone to remain calm and stay in your seats. Follow any instructions she gives you exactly. Your lives and the lives of your families depend on trusting her completely. Sarah Martinez stood up from her seat and everything about her changed instantly. The tired, ordinary passenger disappeared and was replaced by someone with military bearing and command presence. She moved with the confidence of a trained soldier as she reached into her worn backpack. My fellow passengers, I know this situation seems hopeless, The Kethvar Empire has destroyed dozens of colonies and enslaved thousands of people across this sector. They believe humans are weak and helpless just like all the other species they have conquered. She pulled items from her backpack that definitely had not been there during the security screening before boarding. Advanced electronic equipment appeared in her hands as if by magic, small devices that looked decades ahead of human technology. But the Kethvar have made one critical mistake in their assessment of humanity. They think we are as defenseless as all their previous victims. They do not realize that some of us have been preparing for this day for a very long time. Sarah began assembling her equipment with practiced efficiency. Her hands moved quickly, connecting components that seemed to interface directly with the ship's systems. Strange displays appeared showing information about alien technology and tactical weaknesses. The passengers watched in amazement as their quiet fellow traveler revealed herself to be something completely different from what she had appeared. The woman who had seemed so ordinary was about to show them that humanity had secrets the aliens knew nothing about. Sarah Martinez walked toward the front of the passenger compartment with equipment that seemed to appear from nowhere in her hands. Every step she took showed military training and confidence. The tired, ordinary woman who had been reading quietly in seat 12C was completely gone. She moved with the precise movements of someone who had done this before many times. Her eyes scanned the passenger area like a soldier checking for threats. When she spoke, her voice carried the authority of someone used to commanding others in dangerous situations. My name is Commander Sarah Martinez of the Terran Defense Initiative. For the past 5 years, I have been working undercover, tracking the expansion of the Kethvar Empire toward human space. What you are seeing today is the result of careful planning and preparation. Passengers stared at her in shock and amazement. The woman who had seemed so unremarkable was revealing herself to be some kind of secret agent. Parents whispered to their children, trying to explain what was happening. Business travelers put down their tablets to watch this incredible transformation. Sarah activated her equipment and strange symbols appeared on displays that materialized in the air around her. The devices seemed to connect directly to the ship's computer systems without any physical connections. Information about alien technology and defensive strategies flowed across the screens. The Kethvar Empire has conquered 17 different star systems in the past decade. They destroyed the Altarian colonies 3 years ago. They enslaved the entire vegan population 2 years ago. They wiped out the Centauri research stations just 6 months ago. She worked quickly with her hands moving across control surfaces that appeared and disappeared as she needed them. The ship's basic computers suddenly had access to databases that contained detailed information about alien weapons systems and tactical weaknesses. But the Kethvar made one critical error in their intelligence gathering. They studied human technology and military capabilities from our public databases. They analyzed our weapons, our ships, and our defensive systems. Based on that information, they concluded that humans would be easy to defeat. On the bridge, Captain Rodriguez watched his displays transform before his eyes. His basic weapon system suddenly showed targeting information that seemed impossible. His failing shields began reinforcing themselves with energy patterns that his engineers could not explain or understand. What they did not know is that humanity has been preparing for contact with hostile alien species since we first detected evidence of their existence. The Terran Defense Initiative has been developing advanced defensive technologies using resources from multiple allied species. Sarah's equipment interfaced with every system on the transport ship. The basic mining lasers reconfigured themselves into focused energy weapons. The simple navigation computers gained access to tactical programs that could outmaneuver enemy ships. The communication systems connected to networks that spanned multiple star systems. For 5 years, I have been traveling on civilian ships like this one, gathering intelligence on Kethvar expansion patterns. I have watched them destroy colonies and enslave entire populations. I have been waiting for the day when they would make the mistake of attacking a ship that was carrying someone like me. The first alien boarding pod launched from the lead Kethvar ship and streaked toward the transport vessel. But instead of penetrating the hull as expected, it bounced off shields that suddenly blazed with incredible power. The alien pod tumbled away into space completely undamaged, but unable to attach to its target. The Kethvar commander tried to launch more boarding pods, but they all bounced harmlessly off the transformed defensive systems. The alien ships began targeting the transport with their energy weapons, but the enhanced shields absorbed every shot without showing any signs of damage. Captain Rodriguez, I am uploading complete tactical information to your weapons and navigation systems. Your ship is about to become much more dangerous than it appears to be. Please prepare to engage hostile targets on my command. Throughout the passenger areas, people watched in amazement as their ordinary transport ship became something completely different. Warning lights that had been flashing red now glowed with steady blue light. Systems that had been failing now hummed with perfect efficiency. The Terran Defense Initiative has agents on hundreds of ships throughout human space. Most of the time, we are teachers, mechanics, shopkeepers, or passengers like me. We live normal lives and do normal jobs. But when humanity faces a threat, we reveal ourselves and use the tools we have been given. Sarah pulled out her old book and opened it to show the passengers. Instead of yellow pages with text, the book contained advanced computer systems and communication equipment. What had appeared to be an ancient paper book was actually sophisticated technology disguised to look completely ordinary. This book contains tactical information about every known hostile alien species. It has communication links to Defense Initiative agents throughout this sector of space. It can interface with any human computer system and upgrade it with defensive capabilities that most people do not know exist. The alien ships surrounding the transport began to move into different attack formations. Their commanders were clearly confused by the sudden change in their targets' capabilities. Ships that should have been helpless were now defending themselves with technology that seemed impossible. On the bridge, Captain Rodriguez felt like he was commanding a completely different vessel. His weapons officer reported that their mining lasers could now penetrate alien shields. His navigation officer found escape routes that had not existed moments before. His communications officer made contact with Defense Initiative networks across multiple star systems. The Kethvar Empire believes that humans are weak because they have only seen our civilian technology and basic military equipment. They do not know about the advanced systems that we keep hidden until they are needed. They do not know about the alliances we have formed with species they believe they destroyed. Sarah activated the final sequence of her equipment upgrades. The entire ship hummed with new power as systems that had never existed before came online. Weapons that could destroy alien warships. Shields that could withstand their most powerful attacks. Communications that could call for help from allies the Kethvar thought were extinct. Commander Martinez to all Kethvar vessels. You are ordered to withdraw from this area immediately, or face the full defensive capabilities of the Terran Defense Initiative. This is your only warning. Harsh mechanical laughter came back through the communication systems. The alien commander's voice was filled with contempt and disbelief. Humans have no defense initiative. You are a primitive species that exists only to serve your superiors. Surrender now, and your deaths will be relatively quick and painless. Sarah smiled as she prepared to show the aliens exactly how wrong their assessment of humanity had been. The quiet passenger from row 12 was about to demonstrate that humans were far more dangerous than any alien empire had imagined. Sarah Martinez stood calmly in front of 300 amazed passengers as alien boarding pods struck the hull of their ship. Instead of tearing through the metal as the Kethvar expected, the pods bounced off shields that blazed with impossible power. The aliens had just learned their first lesson about underestimating humanity. I tried to give them a chance to withdraw peacefully. Unfortunately, the Kethvar Empire only understands one kind of diplomacy. Her hands moved across the control surfaces of her advanced equipment. The transport ship's basic mining lasers suddenly reconfigured themselves into weapons that could hurt ships with technology centuries ahead of human development. Captain Rodriguez, please target the lead alien vessel and fire when ready. On the bridge, Captain Rodriguez stared at tactical displays that showed him exactly where to aim for maximum damage. His weapons officer confirmed that their transformed mining equipment could now penetrate the alien shields that had seemed impenetrable moments before. Firing now, Commander. The first shot from the Horizon's Edge struck the lead Kethvar ship directly in its main power core. The alien vessel's advanced defensive systems failed instantly, and secondary explosions rippled across its dark hull. Atmosphere vented from multiple hull breaches as the alien ship began spinning out of control. The other 6 Kethvar ships immediately broke formation and began evasive maneuvers. Their commanders were clearly shocked that their advanced technology was being defeated by what they had thought was a helpless human transport vessel. Impossible. The alien commander's mechanical voice screamed through the communication systems. Human technology cannot penetrate our defensive screens. Your weapons are centuries behind our capabilities. You are absolutely right, Commander. Human technology cannot hurt your ships. Sarah continued working at her control stations while speaking calmly to the panicked alien. Her equipment showed the locations and weaknesses of every enemy vessel surrounding them. But you forgot to scan properly for Altarian quantum core technology. You missed the Vegan shield harmonics that we integrated into our defensive systems, and you completely failed to detect the Centauri weapon upgrades that we have been installing on civilian ships for the past 3 years. The second Kethvar ship tried to ram the transport vessel, but Captain Rodriguez used navigation programs that let him dodge with the grace of a fighter pilot. The alien ship missed its target and crashed into one of its own companions. Both vessels were damaged in the collision and began drifting away from the battle. You see, Commander, humanity has been making friends throughout this galaxy while you have been making enemies. The species you thought you destroyed completely actually survived in hidden colonies. They have been sharing their technology with us and helping us prepare for this day. Sarah targeted the third alien ship with weapons that combined human engineering with technology from a dozen different star systems. The Kethvar vessel tried to escape, but Sarah's tactical programs predicted its movements perfectly. The alien ship exploded in a brilliant flash of light. The Altarians taught us how to build quantum power cores that produce unlimited energy. The Vegans showed us how to create shield harmonics that can absorb any weapon blast. The Centauri gave us targeting systems that never miss their intended targets. 2 more Kethvar ships tried to coordinate an attack on the transport, but they were fighting an opponent who knew all their tactics and weaknesses. Sarah's equipment had been studying the Kethvar Empire for years and had developed counters for every strategy they used. Captain Rodriguez felt like he was commanding a ship from a science fiction movie. His crew worked with confidence and precision, using systems they had never seen before. The frightened civilian transport captain had become a skilled military commander with access to the most advanced weapons in the galaxy. The 4th and 5th alien ships fell to coordinated attacks that struck multiple weak points simultaneously. Their hulls cracked open like eggs and their crews were forced to abandon ship in emergency escape pods. The pods were captured by the transport's tractor beams and held for later interrogation. All Kethvar commanders, this is your final warning. Withdraw immediately or join your companions in defeat. The Terran Defense Initiative has been waiting for you to make this mistake. The remaining 2 alien ships began charging their most powerful weapons for a desperate final attack. Energy readings climbed to levels that could destroy entire planets. The alien commanders were willing to die rather than admit defeat to a species they considered inferior. Sarah smiled and activated systems that had been hidden even from Captain Rodriguez and his crew. The transport ship suddenly split apart into multiple sections that moved independently through space. What had appeared to be one large vessel was actually a disguised battle formation of smaller ships. Each section of the transport was armed with weapons that could destroy the remaining Kethvar ships easily. The aliens found themselves surrounded by opponents that had appeared from nowhere. Their final desperate attack was absorbed harmlessly by shield systems that were designed to handle much more powerful threats. The last 2 Kethvar ships surrendered rather than face complete destruction. Their commanders broadcast messages of retreat and defeat to other alien forces in the area. Word would spread quickly that humans were not the helpless prey that the Empire had expected to find. Sarah began deactivating her equipment, and the transport ship returned to its normal configuration. To outside observers, it would once again appear to be an ordinary civilian vessel carrying passengers to the mining colonies. The advanced weapons and defensive systems faded back into hidden storage. Commander, who are you really? Captain Rodriguez asked as the last alien ship disappeared into hyperspace. How many agents like you are scattered throughout human space? I am exactly who I said I was, Captain. A passenger taking a routine trip to Kepler 442b for personal reasons. The Terran Defense Initiative has thousands of people like me living normal lives throughout human territory. She packed her advanced equipment back into her worn backpack where it would be invisible to any casual inspection. The old book that contained sophisticated computer systems looked like ordinary paper and text once again. Most of the time we work as teachers, mechanics, shopkeepers, farmers, and passengers like everyone else. We have families and friends and normal jobs. But when humanity faces a threat, we reveal ourselves and do whatever is necessary to protect our people. Sarah walked back to seat 12C and sat down as if nothing extraordinary had happened. She opened her book and continued reading from the page where she had left off. To anyone watching, she was just a quiet passenger who preferred books to electronic entertainment. The other passengers stared at her with amazement and respect. Children pointed and whispered to their parents about the woman who had saved everyone on the ship. Adults tried to process what they had just witnessed and what it meant for humanity's place in the galaxy. Captain Rodriguez made an announcement to the entire ship explaining that they were now safe and continuing their journey to Kepler 442b. He did not mention the Terran Defense Initiative or reveal any details about the advanced technology they had used. Some secrets needed to remain hidden. As the Horizon's Edge resumed its course through space, the passengers slowly returned to their normal activities. But they would never forget the day they learned that humanity was far from defenseless in a galaxy full of hostile aliens. They had guardians watching over them, hidden in plain sight and ready to act when needed. And somewhere in the depths of space, alien empires were discovering that the humans they had dismissed as primitive and helpless were actually the most dangerous species they had ever encountered.